Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Jocelyn Blowfield. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and their families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returning Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Club Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Harry Frederick Bratt. Harry Bratt was born in Inglewood, Victoria in around June 1897. He was the third of 6 children born to Harry and Annie Bratt, who had returned to Australia from India after marrying in 1891. The family moved around regularly throughout Harry's childhood, living in Broken Hill, Wallaroo, Corn, Maryborough and Colac, all before Harry's 18th birthday. Harry attended school at Warracknabeal in Victoria before finding work as a shop assistant in New South Wales in late 1913. Harry Bratt enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 22nd of September 1915, 3 months after his 18th birthday. He was assigned to reinforcements of the 1st Australian Infantry Battalion and commenced his initial training outside Sydney. The 1st Battalion was the first infantry unit recruited for the Australian Imperial Force in New South Wales during the First World War. It was raised within a fortnight of the declaration of war in August 1914 and embarked for Egypt just 2 months later. The battalion took part in the Anzac Landing at Gallipoli on the 25th of April 1915 and served on the peninsula throughout 1915. The continued fighting took a toll on the battalion, and by September 1915, more reinforcements were being recruited back in New South Wales to bolster numbers. The 14th reinforcements left Sydney in January 1916 in the troop ship Austerley, but Private Harry Bratt was not with them. Despite having passed his medical examination with a clean bill of health in September 1915, by January 1916, Harry had been admitted to Prince Alfred Hospital in Sydney, suffering from acute military tuberculosis. At the beginning of the 20th century, tuberculosis was a major cause of death in Australia, ranking first among females and second amongst males. The disease, spread by a contagious mycobacterium, is highly contagious, with people living in poor housing or environmental conditions, with lower food security, or in situations of extreme stress, more susceptible to both infection and death. Bacteria can lie dormant in an otherwise healthy person for many years, sparking active disease years after the initial infection. Men with obvious symptoms of tuberculosis were typically rejected prior to enlistment, making rates of the disease in camps in Australia low. In the period from 1915 to 1916, only 90 men were admitted to hospital suffering from tuberculosis while in training camp, less than 0.5% of all men in camp for that year. There was no cure for tuberculosis. Once infected, the potential for the disease to resurface remained for life. It is unknown when Harry was infected with tuberculosis or what caused the infection to become active. It is possible that the strain of camp life and initial training triggered the infection. Despite his willingness to serve, he was never given the opportunity. Private Harry Frederick Bratt died of tuberculosis in hospital on the 15th of January 1916, the same day the rest of the 14th reinforcements left for Egypt. He was 18 years old. Harry Bratt was buried at Rookwood Necropolis in Sydney 2 days after his death, and he was later given an Imperial War Graves Commission headstone. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Harry Frederick Bratt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.